I've wasted years making the same photography mistakes over and over and over and spent thousands of dollars doing it. So today I want to show you the top 5 mistakes that every beginner makes and how you can actually fix them. Let's go. So one of my biggest mistakes when I started my landscape photography career is actually a lot of my photos had no clear subject. They actually looked like snapshots more than anything. And if you look at them, you really had no idea what they were really about. Your eye would just bounce around the screen the whole time. So the fix is simple. Before pressing the shutter, ask yourself, what do I actually love about this scene? What am I trying to convey to my viewer? And more importantly is, what do I want people to notice? Once you know all that, eliminate any distractions, branches, rocks, clutter on the edges, people, vehicles, signs, anything like that. Sometimes it just means moving your feet, zooming in, getting a little bit closer, changing your lens. The second big part of this mistake was not creating any depth. My images felt flat. No foreground, no midground, no background. Boring. Now, I look for a stronger foreground element when I'm taking a photo, like a rock, a stream, even a patch of grass that pulls you into the scene. Then I left the midground and background in there to guide your eye even deeper. If you can't find depth, say you're using a telephoto lens, lean on the light. Shadows, reflections, they all add dimension. So my second mistake is not knowing what that little dancing triangle on the back of the camera meant, or the histogram. I had no ideas how to use it, and a lot of my shots were overexposed because I didn't really understand the technology or even the science behind it. So your light meter on your camera is going to tell you that your image is either under or overexposed, and the histogram is actually going to show you whether your highlights or shadows are being clipped. That's really important. If your highlights are clipped, they're gone. You're never going to get them back. If your shadows are too far clipped, you might not be able to recover any detail there, depending on what your camera is, and that could be an issue too. So what's the fix to this? It's really simple. Use the histogram to your advantage, but don't obsess about it. Try to get it balanced in the middle as best as you can. Make sure you're not clipping any highlights. If you shoot everything on the darker side, that's okay, because for me, with modern digital cameras, I know that I can actually recover a large portion of the shadows. So I'm okay with shooting everything on the darker side to preserve highlights, and that's basically how I shoot my landscape photography. So one of the mistakes I used to make was shooting around noon. And you can shoot around noon, but you're going to get your best shots in the morning where you have some light and you have some color from the light, and you're going to get your best shots in the afternoon at sunset when you have some more color and some more light to play with. You can shoot around the midday sun, but it's really not advisable for landscape photography, and I've actually totally gotten away from that practice. I'm historically not an early person, so it's difficult for me to get up in the morning and actually go out and shoot in the morning, but I've adapted over the years to actually make that work. So I'm a morning shooter now, and I'm a night shooter now, and I stay away from shooting in the midday sun because it's just not worth it. This is a really big mistake for me, and it's basically obsessing over gear. I have spent thousands of dollars on gear that I no longer use, or I shouldn't even got in the first place, because I thought it was going to help my photography, and the reality it didn't. What I should have actually done is taken that money I spent on that gear and actually used it to go on more trips and more locations. Now, I have a really nice camera system now, and I've been using that camera system for about 5 years, and actually don't have any plans to update it because it's a great system and I have very little issues with it, and the image quality is amazing. And that's something to remember, like chasing after that new camera system or that really highly upgraded piece of equipment may not be what you need to do. Maybe you need to focus your time actually on getting out into the field, spending your money on actually doing more trips. And like I said, that was a huge mistake for me in the beginning. I spent thousands of dollars on buying camera equipment that I didn't really need, thinking it would help me, and it really didn't. And I should have taken that money and spent it on doing more trips and going out and shooting more photography. Lesson learned. My fifth big mistake for me was placing my camera at eye level every time. I just walk up to a scene, plop the sticks down right there, throw the camera on, get a shot. I didn't explore any kind of angles or putting the camera in another location or anything like that. So I'm going to tell you to ditch the sticks. Only use the tripod when you need to use the tripod, but you don't need to have the camera on the tripod for every shot. This is actually something that I struggle with even now, years down the road, is I have a tendency just to walk up and plop the camera right down on the tripod, crank a couple shots off, and that's it. One of my methods now that I'm trying to do is take my cell phone out, and I'll use my cell phone like a virtual viewfinder, and I'll use it and I'll scan around the scene until I find a composition that I really like. And then once I have that composition, I'll simply just then mimic that composition on my phone with my actual camera. So for my bonus tip today, it's really simple. And that is basically to go out and shoot when the weather is heatish. Yes, I said it, heatish. So if it's foggy, if it's got a light rain, if you got some light snow, if it's a little bit cloudy, you know, a storm just passed through and you have some clouds, that's the time to go out and try to get some of that weather in your shots. That weather creates mood, and mood is what's going to make your photos stand out. It's nice to have a shot of a nice mountain range with a blue sky. However, it's really nice to have a shot of that same mountain range with some fog wisping through the mountains and wisping through the trees. Make that weather work to your advantage. You might not get a whole lot of shots and you might get wet, but sometimes it's really worth it. Some of the best photography I've ever done has actually been when it's foggy or when it's moody or in the middle of a rainstorm. So just get out and experiment and use weather to your advantage. So these were some of the biggest mistakes that I made when I was starting out as a landscape photographer. And believe it or not, I still make some of these mistakes. Let me know which ones you struggle with in the comments below, and I'll respond back. And thanks for watching the channel, and we'll see you later. Thanks.